Good evening. This is Bill Cooper. The name of the show is Savannah at Night. We are WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM. WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And it's Sunday night, and it's time for another issue of Savannah at Night. And the purpose of the show, as I have stated many a time, is to get people perhaps that have not been coming out in Savannah and see the wealth of talent we have in this city, the great things that are going on in theater, in comedy, in poetry, every night of the week. And as I've said many a time, some of them are free and some of them are not much more than free. So do yourselves a favor, pick up a Connect and find out what's going on in this city. You'll be amazed at how many wonderful and talented people. So I'd like to introduce you to my two guests tonight, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So go ahead, please.
Hello, I'm Alan Edwards. I'm directing a play for RIchmond Hill Community Theater.
And I'm Tom Harris. I also am working with Alan on that same play down in RIchmond Hill Community Theater. RIchmond Hill being about 20 miles away from downtown Savannah.
Right, and we consider it Greater Savannah. There's a lot of communities around here that are closely connected with Savannah because of, the size of it. Okay, so there's a play coming up next weekend, and Alan, why don't you start telling us about it? Because tell us your part in it and how you came about to be in it and what it's about in a nutshell.
Oh, let's do some history. I first found the RIchmond Hill Community Theater about a year and a half ago. Saw an audition finally. It's like, I'll go audition for that. Got a part and met some great directors and actors, crew, board members. Then you start to want to get more involved, and the board's very community-minded. Like, you know what? We want more people, just average Joes, to come out and participate. They suggested that I submit an application to direct a play. And the goal is to find something that's fun and marketable.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second. Okay, they suggested you. So you have done this before, maybe in other places? Yes, no?
At the moment they suggested I do it, I had directed a 24-hour play out of the Muse warehouse last year.
Oh, right, I have too.
That was my only stage directing experience at the time.
Wow.
But I'm really bossy, so, it worked out.
Yeah, you have to be. To be a director, you have to be. I mean, to get everyone in line and to get them the way you want it and that. In fact, you mentioned that I directed 2 plays out there and loved it. It was great. But I'm a minimalist. All I did was read it through them once and disappear for an hour, so I'll be back. You should be off book by then or close to it. And then, instead of me standing over them and, giving them more pressure, I just disappeared and went and had a nice breakfast, brought them back some coffee and dessert, and we all had a great time.
While we're telling stories about the 24, our script did not come out great. So what we did is we actually spent the morning doing character study so that each actor had a chance to understand their character outside the script. Then we came back and improv'd with the script as a guideline.
Right.
And after a few rehearsals of that, they had it down off script.
Were they close to script?
The script wasn't worth being that close to.
Okay, yeah. Some of them are tough.
But
you're right.
Yeah, they still told the story that was in the
Being
script.
one of the writers of that script, yeah, that's correct.
I was also one of the writers of that script.
That's fine. But
yeah.
I understand that too. And as I say, I remember that was at the Muse Theater, which unfortunately has closed. And I had Jinhee and Mark, the 2 lovely Savannans that ran that in here as a guest one night. And I'll tell you, that place will be missed. It was so many good things and good times there. Great little black box theater. And, I did that. I acted in plays there. And it was just, or you just go to see something, even if you weren't in it or connected with it in any means whatsoever.
I know Gabe's still looking for a good home for the next 24-hour play.
I know. And that was perfect because of all the parking there. Mm-hmm. And it was a shame to lose that. You don't have places in Savannah with a lot of parking anymore. And it just keeps getting worse as they keep adding more hotels. So
yeah, but that 24 though, I mean, for me especially, kind of sparked the even further interest in stage. And I was really glad to see that RIchmond Hill Community Theater was just, that they want to include everybody as possible. That they're not looking for necessarily A-list actors, even though we certainly have some.
That's the great part of community theater. You have someone that never acted before, and they can come in and play a part that'll stun people. That it's not, if you've ever had a desire to act or to direct or even to help at a theater, to be involved with the people in it, you're going to meet some great people that are there for the love of acting, the love of performing, the love of putting on a play, and the love of the arts. And this is the nice part of it. You just meet some great people. Even if you're thinking of acting or directing, as you do, go and help. Just go and volunteer and help. I mean, to build the set, you had to build a set today, right? Tell us about that. The more hands, really, the easier it is.
Yeah, I mean, we had our set build today. Usually we're under pressure and we have to build the set the day of dress rehearsal. Have dress rehearsal and then come back and perform the next day. Come back for yet another performance the day after and tear down that night.
Yep. I've been there. I know.
Now,
I'm not there, but that's the way it is.
This time around, we had a different challenge with a different blessing, which was we had Hurricane Irma come through during our original performance date.
Remember her well.
Yeah, it was like it was 2 weeks ago. Or I guess it's 3 now.
Something.
We didn't have reservations for a different date. All of our venues were booked. Our board worked hard for weeks trying to get that venue nailed down. And we finally found one, and it ended up being in a unsold retail space.
Oh, super.
Yeah. And we got it for the same price we had in our budget anyways, but we got it for the entire week.
Excellent. So it worked out fine.
It did. Well, the disadvantage of that is we had much less notice to tell the cast, hey, can we have you for a set build day? And hey, it's on a Sunday, which I know there's a lot of conflicts on Sunday with church and everything else. So today we only had 4 people building the set. Tom and I were pretty sore, and we had one of our cast and one of our crew also show up, do all the heavy lifting today.
But if they're 4 quality people,
right,
that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And the fact that they 4 showed up shows their quality.
Yeah, and we'll have more time tomorrow to set up, and more people will show up when they have the chance to do so.
Right, and it's a tough day. I mean, people spend it with their families, or or they have plans on a Sunday. So I mean, it is a tough day to round up help. I certainly understand that.
But I've also been on other sets with the community theater where everybody's there, and we get out of that space in like 2 hours flat.
Oh, it makes a right.
Yeah.
The more hands, the merrier. If it's organized right, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, Tom.
Earlier, you were talking about how you could be surprised how people who are coming in at for community theater, how surprised the quality you can get from the quality of actors that just come off the street. More than once, we've had this show stolen, so to speak, by rookies, people who were there for the very first time, and just basically do outstanding acting on their first time ever on a stage. It's just amazing how that happens.
And
so
you're not right.
All you folks out there, don't be afraid.
I don't know if you know Bob Patterson. He was a director, and I think he moved away from Savannah. Anyway, the first thing I ever acted in was under him. He was a director, and it was a musical, Into the Woods. And that was 13 years ago. I had never acted in my life. I was 60 years old, and I said, I think I'll try it. It was that simple. And I did. But I talked to him before the audition, and I said, I just want to tell you, I've never acted, not in high school, not in college, nowhere. I just thought I'd try it. He said, don't worry. Some of my best actors have been first-timers. And, so I'm just underlining the point you just made, Tom, that if you feel you want to do it, if you really do, don't be shy. Come on out, and you'll find support. Everyone there in that cast will help you. Everyone connected with the play will help you. They're rooting for you because it is a team, and when everyone succeeds, everyone succeeds. So they are going to be. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just stand up there and give it a whirl. And I would like to speak to the opposite angle as well. You have those people who are like, well, I don't know if I want to act in community theater. I've done bigger stuff than this. In this town especially, and this is with film and with stage acting, show up. So many things have changed over the course of this play. We have bumped up actors. Like, we gave you a small role because you were new, but you've done phenomenal with it, and you're here. Somebody else isn't. Can I give you a larger role? Right. And that happens all the time.
Yep.
And once again, I don't understand that community theater. To me, it's theater. I've been to Broadway plays, and I've been to local plays. I've seen excellent on both stages. It does not have to have a Broadway tag to be excellent. Between, the directing, the music, or whatever it is involved in it, I just walk away saying, whoa, I'm proud to have a part in the parts I've had. I'm just proud to be with these people that are so good.
And another one of the positives with having the hurricane interrupt us is, we're doing an evening with Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay, now this is coming up next weekend. What are the dates on it and the times?
And that's the amazing part. We get to have Friday the 13th as our premiere show at 8 p.m.
Oh, yeah. So the Irma did you a favor.
That's right. And we do have a matinee show Saturday at 3 p.m., which is October 14th.
Okay.
And then later that evening at 8 p.m., we'll have our finale show.
All right, so
same
you have
day.
2 on Saturday.
Yes.
And you start on Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Friday. So you have 3 shows.
Yep.
And it's just one weekend, and it's out. And where in Richmond Hill?
Well, the address is 3740 U.S. Highway 17.
Okay.
It's the empty retail space, which you will now see chairs and the stage set up in there, and you can see it from the road. It's right next to Molly McPherson's, attached to that building.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was excited that we got that because we originally wanted October, but there was no availability at our usual venues, so we were pushed to September. We had a rush schedule to get this done, and then suddenly we're like, all right, glad you rushed. Apparently the weather has different ideas for you. Take a break and then try to regather everybody back up.
But that is not unusual in community theater. If they have a space and they know, and that's one thing, it's one less headache. But there's all kinds of things that are involved that, gee, I thought, as you said, you had chairs today to get there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought they'd have that, or the truck would be available and that. And these problems come up, but you know what? It's a challenge, and it makes it that much better. By the time that show goes on, you're feeling so good because it wasn't easy.
That's right.
I have a saying, if it's easy, it's not good. If it's good, it's not easy.
I would say we will all be looking forward to Sunday, October 15th.
Right. Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. But that's and you'll have the butterflies when the first time it goes on. Now, are you acting in this at all, or just directing?
I am not.
And I don't mean just direct. I mean, are you? No, seriously. I mean, are you acting?
No, I am not acting in this play. There's a fairly large cast to work with, as well as the crew.
How many will be in the play?
The number has kept changing. Are we about 15 cast?
So roughly 15, 16.
Wow.
Now, Tom has stepped into a small role because we had somebody whose house did get damaged in Irma, and he is handling that right now.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Tom, what was your role coming up?
Say that.
What role did we put you on?
Oh, I'm an old man. I'm the victim in The Telltale Heart.
Yeah, so An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe is actually 6 short stories that have been adapted into a play.
Wow.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
We're going to start off with The Cask of Amontillado, one that always freaked me out as a child because, someone gets bricked in. And the second one is The Purloined Letter, which I had never heard of that one before.
That was Sherlock Holmes.
That was the predecessor to Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
I mean...
Monsieur Dupin.
Right. I remember reading that when I read Sherlock.
That one's the one that I probably still get the most entertainment out just watching it as a director and rehearsing.
It's just great. This is classic stuff.
Yeah.
And, I don't care what age you are. Something that, if it says classic and they mean it, check it out. There's a reason it's classic, because it's good.
Yep. Dupin, Monsieur Dupin, and Monsieur Dinol, who is the Dupin's right-hand man, so to speak, preceded Holmes and Watson by like 50 years or something like that. And Doyle actually has given kudos or some recognition.
I would say,
Poe
if you use the same title, I think it's going to be recognized.
Interestingly, that particular cast, because with our 15 people, they had to play multiple roles throughout.
And that's cool too.
Yeah,
that is
that's
cool
a lot of
too
fun.
When you have multiple roles. I've always enjoyed that.
Some challenges as well.
Yeah, totally different.
But that particular cast, they got together way beforehand and started rehearsing lines. They liked the play that much that they had the lines down before we were off book.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Excuse me 1 second. I just have to read a promo here. If you enjoy our programming on WRUULP, please support the station with a donation. As an individual, you can give any amount, become a basic station member, or become a serious fan of the station. To check out membership rates and to donate to the station, go to www.wruu.org/individual and select to donate monthly or subscribe to an annual membership. Again, to donate to the station, go to www.wruu.org/individual and select to donate monthly or subscribe to an annual membership. Thank you for listening to and supporting WRUU-LP And as said earlier, this is Savannah at Night. I'm your host, Bill Cooper, with my two guests tonight.
Alan Edwards.
And Tom Harris.
Okay, guys, and we're on Harris Street, so that was easy for you to figure out. Easy for him.
Yeah.
Continue
You
on.
gave me 3 different addresses there, and I'm there. No, wait a minute, no. That was funny, but, you did the right thing. You checked in advance. As I said, when you called me today, my wife said, aren't you going to call him? I said, nah, he's just kid sharp. I saw his picture. He's 18.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Anyway, all's well that ends well. We were all here on time, and we got the show going in that. And so, all right, let's get back to it. If I can get away for this particular story for a minute, and we will get back to it, I want to ask, now, do you like acting too? I'll start with you, Alan.
I love acting. I'm kind of torn between stage and film, too. They're both different experiences, and I really love the feedback of stage.
Right. That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
That's hard to beat, but I'm like you. I've done film, either SCAD student films, a couple of bigger films, and mostly extra parts in that, nothing really huge. But I just like the process. I like it. I'm a ham, and I just enjoy being there. I really am, and that's the way it is. So, but my question is this. When was the first time you acted, and what was the experience like, if you can just tell us?
My first time acting was as an extra on The Birth of a Nation. At the time, I had a 9-to-5 job. Don't usually have time off to do that kind of work. But I had just happened to have bronchitis and just gotten back on my feet and had a doctor's note for one more day. I went on set and I almost died.
Because
I had bronchitis. It was 90 degrees outside, no wind. They had fake smoke. We had dust everywhere because that particular set had hundreds of people on it.
Whoa.
I did fine till the afternoon. I almost passed out choking to death. But other than that, the experience was great. I mean, that's my first time seeing PAs running on set,
right.
Meeting fellow extras. A lot of them have made a part-time living doing just extras work. Like, hey, I'm retired.
I know, right? I know quite a few that do that. And I'm not. I'm really not big into the extra thing. I did it a few times, and fine, I got the experience, and it was nice. And you get to meet some of the actors, like
my favorite part.
Alan RIchmond. Right, remember Alan? He was in CBGB. Well, I never read Harry Potter. I never saw it. I didn't know who he was. So this is funny. So I was one of the extras, and they had a bunch of them. But on this particular day, there was only about 10 of us. So at lunchtime, I get my tray, and I see 2 of the motorcyclists, the bikers that were in it, and they actually are local Savannah bikers that I happen to know, just, to talk to, not know well. But anyway, so I sit down, and I'm sitting down right beside Alan RIchmond, and we're all talking, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know he was in the film. So after I left, one of the guys said, what's he like? I said, who? Alan RIchmond. Who's that? That's the star of this movie. You were sitting right next to him. I said, I thought it was one of the electricians with a British accent. So anyway, that's how affected I am. And, but it was fun. And, he was very nice. That's like, he passed away, what was it, last year, I think. And but he was very nice to us and polite and everything, and it was just a nice experience.
I got to act next to Daniel Radcliffe in Beast of Burden. Beast of Burden last December. A horrible extras experience. And not that the cast or crew they were great. It was just I was asked to pretend it was a Mexican desert when it was actually December and 40 degrees outside. So we need you to dress down and not look cold, please.
Oh, so between the bronchitis and that, they get you at the right time, don't they?
Yeah. Extras work is not glamorous, but you get to meet a lot of cool people.
Okay, now that was the first time you did it professionally. I'm talking about in school when you were a little kid. When's the first time you stepped on the stage? Do you remember?
Same answer, nada.
You didn't?
Never
you
until
didn't
then.
in school. Okay, same thing. All right, just curious. Wonder where it came from.
I'll make an exception.
Uh-huh.
I used to own an IT company, and I did do a couple of commercials for myself.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's acting. Yeah. Tom, how about you?
I was a junior in high school, and I got into a production of the musical Lil Abner way back in the spring of 1968.
Dogpatch.
Whoa.
Wow.
Right.
That had to be funny.
Yep.
Al Cap.
That got me bit. And then the next year I was in Music Man. And then after that I was in college production of Anything Goes. And then another college production of Shenandoah. And pretty much in the chorus with odd lines here and there.
All right, so you're a singer too.
Yeah,
Good.
but mostly in either really bit parts or in the chorus.
Right.
And then I discovered, back up. After Shenandoah, I went into the Army for 20 years, and after the Army for 20 years, I was doing day jobs and all that kind of stuff, so I didn't even think about the stage anymore until I ran into RIchmond Hill Community Theater back in 2012, and they were doing some version of O. Henry's Ransom of Red Chief.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and saw that, and I said, oh, this is pretty good. So I decided to audition for their next production, whatever that was, which was called The Curse of the Cobra's Kiss. And I was somehow involved in most of the RIchmond Hill Community Theater productions ever since the spring of 2013.
Ransom of Red Chief. I was in a SCAD short film of that, a 10, 12-minute film. And it came out good. The guy that did it did a great job, and it came out good. And it was a comedy, and it was terrific. The little kid that kind of like a Home Alone deal. That's the storyline of it. Kind of like Home Alone, where he's the boss after they kidnapped him, and it was cool. It was a fun story to be in.
And the second play I was ever in with RIchmond Hill Community Theater was called Zombie Movie, and I played a cinematographer. I played a cinematographer in that, and one of the actresses in that play said, "You got to come and be in a movie with me." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, SpongeBob's cranking up. Here, email this lady, and she'll get you in SpongeBob." I said, "Okay." So I was in the SpongeBob scene where they had the ship running down Broughton Street.
Right. Okay.
I was in that, and it was all day.
Were you on the ship?
Nope. No. Anthony was. What's his name was? Antonio was the only person on the ship.
Oh, okay.
But I was an extra on Broughton Street, reacting as the ship goes by. And that's what got me bit there. And so I've been in a lot of SCAD movies after that, and then some of the other ones. You mentioned Beast of Burden. We were shooting a scene from that in a DEA office that occupied the second floor of one of the buildings on Savannah State. And after we were done shooting that, we were going downstairs to get ready and do an outdoor scene. And as I was coming down the stairs, Daniel was right next to me. And so I asked him, I said...
Get out of the way, will you?
No, I said, "So how do you like Savannah so far?" And he said, and this is exactly what he said, "Oh, I love it, sir." He makes almost as much money as the Queen. "Oh, I love it, sir." And so I said, "Well, I came here from Monterey, California. I don't quite share your enthusiasm." Not really, I do. It's a nice place. I'm staying here after retiring from the Army.
Right.
But he said, "Oh, but compared to London, this is fantastic." And as we were coming around the stairs, there were 4 soldiers from Hunter who were playing extras as DEA agents in camouflage outfits.
Yeah.
They were going to go out and get Daniel's character. But as soon as he came down and he saw them, he just came to a screeching halt right in front of him. He said, "Are you guys in the Army?" And they said, "Yes." He said, and he just stayed there 20 minutes talking with them about their experiences on Hunter.
Yeah, and that's cool. As I say, you find out a lot of these people, they may have big names in there, but they're people, the same as anyone else. And some of them are very... I've heard other stories about a couple, but I don't even mention that. And I always say, if someone says, "Oh, I met so-and-so and I didn't like them," well, maybe that was their bad day. We've all had them. If you met me on a bad day, you wouldn't like me. But you try not to have too many of those. So I don't take that.
Or you're trying to start a conversation with one of the principal actors in a film just before they are going to go on camera.
Oh, you don't start one with them anyway. That's the rules when you're an extra. You do not, if you will answer them a question, if they ask you, you do not initiate the conversation.
Because they're concentrating on what they're going to be doing when
Absolutely.
they're in front of the camera.
And they'll tell you that, and that's pretty much a signed agreement now when you go on there, that you do not do that.
So, kind of what I just
But that's
heard.
understood. They're working. They're at work.
Right.
Seriously, if someone was putting out a fire, you wouldn't go up and start talking to them.
Hey, what you doing? So kind of what I heard a couple of sentences ago, too, is that it sounds like theater is a gateway drug.
For what, ego?
Gateway drug to film. Actually, our theater just had a couple of auditions, and there's one more coming up for Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Richmond Hill Public Library.
And what's that going to be for?
That's Little Women.
Little Women.
Yeah, and it's directed by
yes.
Hillary Diebold, who's also on the board. I've worked with her before.
Hillary is a middle school teacher and drama instructor for them, for the Richmond Hill Middle School. She handles the entire drama department, and she produces plays there and as well as with us. And she is very, very good.
And that's an excellent point. When you have kids that are involved in theater early, as I said, I never was, and Alan never was. When you have them involved early, boy, you just see a product there that, I mean, you can go to a kids show. I've done it for my niece, for my kids when they were young and that. And you say, wow, someone really knows what they're doing. They put this thing together. It was entertaining.
Well, speaking of kids shows, there's one coming up. When is that one?
Again, with the hurricane, our schedules got compressed a lot. November 10th and 11th, they're doing the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
It's got a lot of kids in it.
Right. And as I say, folks, if you have a chance to see these things, all I'm saying is you're going to be amazed at how good community theater is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying community theater. I think it's just, it opened my, I went to some, I always did. I went to some where I live, but there wasn't that much of it. Here in Savannah, we're blessed because of the colleges that are involved in it. I mean, they have arts program at Armstrong, at Savannah State, and of course at SCAD. And because of that influx of people in this community that are interested in the arts, we have a treasure in this city. And once again, I don't nag. If I did, I'd say you got to do yourself a favor and get out and see what's going on.
I don't, but if I did.
Yeah, if I did, that's what it would sound like. Okay. All right, so go back to, I'm sorry, Alan, what were you talking about earlier?
We also, for an evening at Edgar, I can't even speak now. I should take acting lessons, maybe voice lessons.
Sure, stick around. You got $1.25 on you, I'll give you a lesson.
There we go. So the play is An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe, which is actually 6 shorts. Mm-hmm. The first one's The Cask of Amontillado. The second one we have lined up is The Purloined Letter.
Right.
Following that, we have The Fall of the House of Usher, which is one of the more popular ones. Which brings to mind an interesting challenge we have in community theater, which is casting. We have this cast is, or Edgar Allan Poe is basically sexist. All of his characters are male.
But you got to remember, it was an era.
Yeah,
I mean, the world has changed since he was writing.
I'm not judging him.
No, I mean that. I'm just making a point. I know if you say that, he would not have been called that in that day he lived in. He wouldn't been called sexist. I mean, they never heard the word, first of all.
But it still poses a
they
problem.
They wouldn't understand it. No, but I get what you're saying. Now, how do you present it to today's audience that isn't going to go, whoa?
No. How do you do it when your cast is mostly female?
That's the other thing. With community theater, it seems like most people who audition are female.
I would talk to the cast and say, listen, this is the way it was in that era. And this is make-believe anyway. We're going up there making people believe. So ride with us.
We'll check how we make believe.
Yeah, so the last challenge is that the playwright, because somebody had to get paid and copyrighted to change his work into a play.
Exactly.
The rules are no gender bending.
Okay.
So we can't...
You can't have a girl play a guy.
Well, we can. Here's how we interpret that. We can't change that part instead of being Mr. Usher to Mrs. Usher. We can't change that.
Okay, so then she has to be Mr. Usher.
She has to be Mr. Usher.
Yeah.
And we actually put that on the audition forms. Do you mind playing the opposite gender?
Right.
And so we cast a lot of talented people, and we're like, hey, can you lower your voice a little bit? Can you walk like this?
Exactly.
And we're not gonna make it obvious that it's not a female playing a lot of the roles.
Right.
But we're going to make it believable so it doesn't hopefully break that reality for you while watching the play. But it reminded me as I'm thinking about rehearsals with Roderick Usher being played by is it Emily?
Well, so we're both Watson and Holmes, or actually Dupin and Dinah are both played by ladies.
Right, and once again, I call this acting. I said to my wife one time, after I've been doing acting for a while, I could play a 14-year-old girl, and she laughed. And I said, all right, now that you're through laughing, let me tell you. I was in my high 60s. I am a 6'3", and I have a beard. I says, I would not look like a 14-year-old girl, but by the time I finished whatever I was saying, you'd think I was one. That's acting.
And all
You're
of our actors have
making
stepped up and
people
done
believe
that.
something different. So, I mean, anything you say is possible on the stage, and that's the great part of it. I don't want to be a 14-year-old girl, but I'm just saying. I mean, give me a part, and
Different show.
I will attempt it. I will, that's just the way I am. Give me a part. You betcha.
So after Usher, another one that I had not heard of before researching this series of plays is The Strange Methods of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather.
That's a
Did
mouthful.
That is a
anybody
mouthful.
out there see the series Gotham on Netflix?
Well, don't
Yes.
don't give away too much of the plot if you haven't seen it, 'cause it's fun to
yeah,
watch.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
but basically, you get to see the inside of an insane asylum, and it's a large cast for this one. So almost all of our cast is in this one, and there's a dinner table scene where they're all out there. It's been really fun to coordinate. Early on we're like, you know what, we want you to improv this, just add things, and that it got from great to hysterical to all right, now it's just getting crazy. And we've backed it down, and it's going to be that one's going to be a riot.
Great. Now the station ID here, this is WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And the name of the show is Savannah at Night. I'm your host, Bill Cooper. And as I like to do, I like to have our guests introduce themselves. Alan?
Yep, I'm Alan Edwards, directing An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe.
And Tom?
I'm Tom Harris, co-director of An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe.
Great. Having you folks come on, it just makes this show. I mean, if I sat here for an hour talking, I'd bore myself. But it's nice to have people that know what they're talking about and involved in it. And it's just it's a great thing. So, all right, Tom, what is your part in this production coming up?
I am co-director.
All right, co-director,
But,
great.
Alan is the primary director. I'm the backup, and I kind of watch things and see if if he asks me for any hints or any suggestions. Or
Well, it's not nice to have someone to have your back.
Well, we were actually supposed to be like co-directors, but I
Right.
guess I've just gotten really bossy. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, Tom.
no,
You
that's
can't help it. If you're bossy, you're bossy.
He's
Nothing to
submitted-
be ashamed of.
He submitted the play. He is, he researched the play. He's basically, Alan is in charge, as far as I'm concerned, in charge of the play.
Okay, so you're saying if you both had a great idea, his wins.
Yes.
Okay. No. I mean, there has to be that understanding. You don't want to be at odds with each other.
I don't
And you
think we ever
want-
have been.
Right, but you don't want more than one view. Otherwise, it will show in a play.
Right. Good point.
A single director has a single view. If you have multiple directors, it will start to look weird.
What Tom's been really great at that I am missing. I don't know if you heard him pronouncing names before. There's a lot of is it French words?
French names.
I know. Good for you.
And Tom's been coaching the crew when they say that. Let's say it this. All right, hang on, everybody. Let's say it all together. Well, let's get Monsieur. Is that
Monsieur.
it? Monsieur.
Oui, monsieur.
You mean it's and the opposite isn't Mademoiselle?
No. It's yeah. Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
We do have a few of those that having to pronounce as well, and it's also been great having like a second pair of eyes.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we'll push our heads together. People are acting. We're like, I saw this. What did you think of that? Like, yeah, that was crap. Let's fix it. Or that was amazing. Have them do that again every time.
I remember, speaking of French, I remember Steve Allen doing a set one time, and he says, "No, Steve Allen, sorry, Steve Martin."
Oh,
And he says, I just got back from France, and you wouldn't believe it. Those people have a different word for everything. It just cracked me up. Way to go, Steve.
We feel that way sometimes. Because not only do we have the French words throughout the plays, we also have early 1800s where things are talking different. What was the first of all, the purloined letter? And people be like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
It means somebody took it.
It's stolen. Yeah.
A couple of words like that we get to play with and educate.
And those were probably popular words at the time, but we see what happens to language, especially now, like with the influx of electronics that have brought more words in and pseudo words that they're just putting together and calling it a word.
now it would be the hacked email.
Yeah, I mean, what's hacked email? And once again, a few years ago, no one ever heard of that, and we have loaded our language up now because of electronics with all kinds of new words. So people from 30 years ago, if they read something from today or saw a play or a movie from today, they totally wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
With the references.
I think another interesting spin is, I think we all have our favorite plays. Now, we've never discussed this. This kind of happens naturally, but honestly, I think Tom's play is the one that comes after Tar and Feather, which is Oblong Box. I mean, with that one, I think he had the most vision and insight for it takes the place on a ship deck. And so a lot of that came out because he knew things about it.
Oh,
yeah, I think I read that years ago, but it's not ringing a bell right now.
Where a very wealthy man brings an oblong box onto a ship, a 6 foot long, 4 foot wide, 2 foot deep box, and the other passenger is aware, his friend from college is also on the ship, and suspects that this rich guy bought a painting of the Last Supper, and that's what's in the box.
And everybody's acting strangely because of this box in the
Oh,
ship.
that's all it takes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the unknown in anything. And, an author that can figure that out, or a director like, Alfred Hitchcock that can figure that out, it's that unknown that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, and then there's an exciting finale followed by a brief explanation behind some of the parties who witnessed it. It's kind of neat.
Right. Well, the thing about the ships is one of the crew comes on the ship because it's in a hurricane and yells out, "Captain, the four topsails in shreds and the mizzenmast is cracked." And everyone's like, "What is all that?" So I actually drew a picture of a ship with the 3 masts on it and the little sails on it. I said, that one there is the top foremast, and this back mast back here in the back, that's the mizzenmast. Oh,
Well, we have
okay.
Popeye with us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, that even that play had the most difficult blocking as well because we're supposed to have some people in certain cabins, some people in other cabins. Like we have a certain shape.
Okay, and for those that are unfamiliar with the term blocking, it is where you are on the stage during your dialogue or during someone else's dialogue. There's moving around, there's movement to make it look like it's not just people just placed there and then, taken away afterward. There's movement on stage. But it has to coincide with the story. And that's as important as dialogue. You have to know where you are at a certain time when you give that line. You can't be on the wrong side of the stage. So that's what blocking means. It's not complicated, and like anything, when you do it a couple of times, it becomes automatic. You automatically walk over to the bookcase and get a book or whatever you're supposed to be doing. But
And it actually helps memorize the lines.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. That's a good point, Tom.
Well, I mean, like the previous play that Tom and I acted in together, they started changing the set on us, and I was like, I don't know what to say now. The couch is 3 inches to the left.
It makes a difference when you're used to it. Now, I know in the plays I've done out at Wilmington Island Methodist Church, before the set is done, they will have like a chair that represents a desk or a sofa or something like that. And so you kind of get used to it, but once that set is done, that didn't, wait a minute, what's the desk doing here? I thought it was over there, and it's really not in your mind. It just helps you to get going. But it's not the same. It's going to a whole different deal once they have the set ready in there, and that's when it clicks. I'm supposed to be behind the couch. I see why.
And you mentioned the blocking is not complicated, and it's typically not, but Oblong Box was. I mean, there's many times Tom's like, "Hey, Alan, go stand over there."
Yeah.
And let's walk through this with everybody because we have sometimes 8 people going different directions on it.
Well, all right, my mistake.
And in one case, a blocking is the cue for one of the lines, and the college buddy has to recognize people going off the gangplank. So the timing, that kind of timing, has to happen.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a challenge. I'm super glad Tom was there to straighten us out on that one. We got to go finish accommodating our stage to make that work now with a new space.
Yep.
So even that's changed some.
But every play I've been in, the director has had someone with them to either give notes to or to talk over something on that, and that's important. I mean, you can be the only one there, but then you're going to miss something. Mm-hmm. You are. You're human. You're going to miss something.
It's hard
to
to
have
watch.
Someone nice going, Tom. I mean, to be reliable like that.
Every movie has a script supervisor. Every play has an
Absolutely.
AD.
Well, I mean, like this week with being delayed from hurricanes and other business, I couldn't make the rehearsals this week. I mean, it's the first time I've ever missed, but Tom was there to make it happen.
Right, and what do you do? I mean, do you just give them a week off, and that hurts the
No,
production?
no.
That's what I'm saying.
We just got him back.
No, but that's you have to have a backup, and that's great.
And we talked about the outstanding talent too, because the finale right after Oblong Box, the Telltale Heart, and we had a couple of people who said, "I can't make the audition. What do I do?" And it's like, "Hey, we want to include you. Can you send me a video audition?" But we also had a super compressed schedule. We had to make the announcement the Monday after auditions that previous night, which means figuring out not only who can get what part and deliver the part, but with 6 different plays, who can double up on parts, who can play the opposite gender, who can has fast enough costume change. And I had one person who got in, and I hadn't put them in anywhere yet. And I said, "Look, you did fabulous on your audition," and she did. "Come to rehearsal. I know how this works." That very first day we had a part for, somebody didn't show up.
Right.
And
that's too bad. When someone if you commit to something, commit.
What extras and bit part players in film dream of happens a lot on the stage. We call it upgrade.
Yes.
And
yes.
the person who originally auditioned for the main part of Telltale Heart memorized from the story.
Wonderful.
And started just walked right up, and he just started with the monologue.
Isn't that something? Wow.
And then fell off the face of the earth.
And things happen. I mean, they do.
Right. And once again, you don't know why in that, but all I'm saying is it is a commitment, especially if you're going to be in it. It's a commitment. You've got to carry through on it. And things do happen, but sometimes I think they didn't do enough studying, and they realize it, and they just want to back out because they're behind. And if that's the case, it's too bad. But once again, there's usually someone that comes in at the last minute. I know I've been picked a few times to be in things because someone dropped out. And one of them, it was at the Muse, 12 Angry Men. And I says, and Chris Soucy, Gene He's brother, who was directing it, and he just happens to be driving out of a parking lot as I was coming out of a SCAD building, and he happened to be coming out of the parking lot. He's, "Bill," he says, I want you to be in. We've had someone drop out. I want you to be in 12 Angry Men. I said, "That's wonderful. When's it open?" "Next week." I said, "What, are you kidding me?" He said, "You have one
and he
word."
Wanted you to be the holdout guy, right?
He said, "You have one line."
Oh.
And he told me what it was, which I can't say at this station. And I says, he said, "You want to be in it?" I said, "Yeah, I'm already off book." And I went, and it was great. It was, it was fun, and it was like he just, and I did that another time. Somebody dropped out, and I was called to replace him, and that, I did it. So actually 3 times. And, it doesn't matter. If you love doing it, you just love doing it.
In our previous play, we had a family have an illness in the family where they took all their attention away.
Sure.
And they had dropped out the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks.
We had 2 people step in and not only memorize the lines, get off book, and do the part, they did a phenomenal job.
The one of the father of the family, the whole family dropped. The dad, the mom, and the girl dropped out because the girl was seriously ill.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course.
And but we handed the father's part, which is has the most lines in the entire play, to a guy who was supposed to be the sound assistant, but
has been listening to the play.
But he's been
taking some of it in. I mean,
he has been in other plays, so he knows how to act.
No,
right, but I mean,
he had not been on that set very often.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
In theater, the sound guy doesn't usually get there to the last week or two to start listening.
Okay,
for
that's
cues.
what I was wondering. I don't know how long you've been there.
And
Because sometimes you just absorb a little of,
When he's 16.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? I mean, seriously, to see someone that young, early, with that much talent, folks, this is what we're talking about. This is what you've got to avail yourselves to.
There's more. So that guy who dropped the lead role for the Telltale Heart was picked up by 14-year-old Maddie. And I couldn't be happier. I mean, she's doing a phenomenal job.
Oh, okay. This is the girl playing the guy's part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing the talent you find out there when the pressure's on. People step up.
It is, and I think the word is community. We are a community. Let's do something for each other, and this is something good that you can feel good about. That people that go feel good about. It's not a bad thing about theater. I said too. Not every play is great. However, if you go to a play as opposed to a television show, that camera or a movie is showing you only what they want you to see. When you go to a play, you can roam the whole stage with your eyes and get, maybe it's not the characters talking as a sign, and you just want to check on in the wings there and see the one that's, that's supposed to be in the scene. Are they paying attention? Are they, staying in the scene? And this is one of the things about theater that makes it so good, that you can, you're the cameraman. You look wherever you want to look. And it just makes the play more interesting. As I said, even if it wasn't a great play, it's far more interesting being there in person.
I had never thought of it that way, but that makes perfect sense, because like that last play we did, we had a bunch of people that were on stage the whole time. There's very few entrance and exits. Some people stole the show sometimes from just some of the things that were happening off to the side.
Absolutely. If you stay in character. And it's not scene stealing. There's a difference. Someone just wants to be so big and take the scene
didn't mean that in a
away.
negative way at all.
No, I know you didn't. I'm just saying there's a difference that some people might confuse it with. But if you stay in scene, and I remember the Glass Menagerie. I think it was Maggie Lee Hart that played it. I don't want to name the wrong person, but I think it was she played in the Glass Menagerie here. I says to Marianne, my wife, I just nudged her because you don't talk during the performance. I says, watch her when she's not the focus. It was incredible. When she was looking at the little toys, she was so focused on them. It was just incredible how good this girl was. And that's what, got me to that. Yeah, I'm listening to the dialogue that's going on without her, and I'm paying attention to the thing. But this was a treat watching her do that when she's not on stage, and you couldn't see that in a play because the camera wouldn't be on her.
Yeah, and when you see actors, doing their entire character, whether they're the focus or not,
right,
that's an amazing experience. And I know we've had a couple of gems come out, especially during Purloin Letter. They're kind of a side character acting in the background, and they came up with some great stuff that their character does, and they were like, "Is this okay?" It's beautiful.
Isn't that nice? Because you can't, as I said earlier, you can't think of everything. And when someone comes up with a good idea, you bet, love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've always been open to suggestions from the cast and even sometimes the crew.
Right.
For what goes on stage.
No, as I say, it gets down to, the director has the final say. Whenever I acted in a film or anything, I say, this is how I see the character. If it's not what you want, tell me. Because it's your play. It's your film. It's your, I don't. The actor doesn't call the shots. I just want to give you what you're looking for.
Hey, Tom.
What is my role?
What is your role?
I played a character in this last play that we did who's always making suggestions to the director, which is a bad habit of mine in real life. So when they cast me in that, as soon as I started reading the part, I said, you guys put me in here on purpose, didn't you?
And now we can just say, what is your role, Tom? And it's not like a slight or anything. It's like, oh, hang on.
Well, that's like with me. People, you hear people say, gee, you clean up good. You dress up if you're going out somewhere. Well, I must dirty up good because I've been homeless in a bunch of films.
You and John.
I can see that.
John.
Yeah, I dirty up real good. So, yeah.
I always end up playing the bad guy for some reason.
You do?
Yeah, every now and then the dad, other than that, the bad guy.
Stare at me. Yeah, you earned it.
See, I have a face for radio, don't I?
You have a stare for bad.
Bad guy.
That's what I meant. I said you earned it. If you get a bad stare, that's what they're looking for.
It's wreaking havoc on my dating life, though.
Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That'll always fall through. If it's a failure now, it always will be. Don't worry about it.
There you go. That's optimism.
Someone said worry is paying for it twice. So don't worry. You only have to pay for it once, whatever it is. So, here we are. I have another announcement to read as soon as I get it off the floor where I dropped it 5 minutes ago.
Should we tell some funny jokes in the meantime?
Yep.
Are
they over?
Like how you like how you groaned it to get that off the floor?
I know. Wow, that's not a joke anymore. Okay, as a business, you enjoy our programming on WRUULP. Please support the station with a donation. Let your customers, neighbors, and friends know that you share our vision of building a thriving community based on diverse, vibrant radio programming. As business partner, our listeners will know you support Savannah's only broad-based community radio station. Become a tower sponsor or underwriter. To check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. Again, to check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. Thank you for listening to and supporting WRUU-LP. And back for the final 10 minutes here of Savannah at Night. Bill Cooper, your host, with our new friends,
Alan Edwards
and
Tom Harris.
Thank you. And I've been having a good time talking about it. Is there anything that maybe we haven't covered that you want to talk about, either one of you?
I think one new thing we did about 2 plays ago, we actually built a new stage, which it's portable because we have to collapse. We don't have a permanent venue. The neat thing about the stage, besides being a little higher, is it's also fully configurable. I mean, we can arrange it in different ways.
Excellent.
And
now, where do you store it? I mean, because that's a problem too, isn't it?
Yeah, we pay for storage. I mean,
Wow.
I know we do some in-kind trade for that. But we're also paying some for storage.
You have to. Seriously, it's a shoestring operation. It always is. You're not in it to make money, but you've got to get these deals with people that are willing. And there are a lot of good people, a lot of good businesses that will, accommodate you.
Absolutely. And the new stage too is also stores a little easier, travels a little better.
Yep.
But Tom agreed to let me try some new stage configurations this time. So instead of being a rectangle,
right,
which is pretty darn
you're
common,
thinking outside the.
We started off with a T, where it's a big, long upstage, wide upstage,
Right.
and shooting into the audience. And
Right.
then we decided it was a little too dangerous to cut the corners for our actors and blocking.
Right.
So we made it into a pyramid, where it gets progressively larger as you get further back.
Oh, okay. So it's narrower at the front.
Correct.
All right.
So
And then now you have,
Like
and I'm looking at the seating too. So you have the seating kind of facing not directly as it would in front. Do you have it facing like the pyramid sides?
Well, and yes, and that's kind of where I was leading with that. Is we're trying also to sell some premium seating in that process. It's this new concept that what, if you want to get where you can actually see profile of the actors up front.
Yes.
And with these set pieces, many of these actually have 3 set pieces per play. You have one upstage left, one upstage right, and one front stage center. So there are things happening at different times that change based on where we're focusing the lighting or using the action to move you to. And we felt that pyramid allowed for that, and we feel like it'll also be a really cool experience for the audience who wants to sit up close to that stage, or they may actually be looking to their left or right a little bit to see the front stage action.
And it changes it. I know at Bay Street Theater they have that T stage. And it changes it when you're sitting at the side, and then turning to look at the main stage, it's a whole different perspective. But there's a reason they do a lot of action out on that T. So, I mean, that really was a good seat.
It actually was a fortuitous suggestion in that when our first venue, our original venue, our usual venue is a long, deep room like a typical play would be in, where the audience is entirely in front of the stage and go 20 rows back.
Right.
Well, now, because of the hurricane and all, and our usual venue is booked every other weekend, we ended up in this new space, which is wider than it is deep.
And now every space is different, as you just pointed out, and now you have to work with what you have there.
So now, because of the unique configuration of the stage for this play, it's much easier to do theater in the round. We're going to have audience on all 3 sides of the stage.
Excellent.
Hope it works.
It will. Oh, yeah, look at the enthusiasm you two have. Of course it will work. No, but that's it. That's part of it. As I say, you're doing something you love, and it shows. When I retired, I had to work. I didn't hate my job, but there were good days and bad days. I did it for 29 years. It was time to get out. And as I say, now I'm doing what I want to do rather than what I had to do. What a difference it makes, I mean, your quality of life goes up when you can do things you love to do.
Yeah, I mean, and if people want more information to participate in any way they wish to participate with Richmond Hill Community Theater, we do have our brand new website up. It's RIchmondHillCommunityTheater.com. It's RH Community Theater with an R-E, not an E-R, going for the old spelling. It's the theatre. I don't know.
Oh, theater R-E. Okay, all right.
With
Little
R-E.
Shakespeare you're laying on there.
Community, all one word, www.rhcommunitytheater with an R-E
com.
.com.
Yeah, and
All right.
we just released that a couple months ago. So there's a lot more information there about all the upcoming plays, including
Right.
auditions and such.
So once again, this is going to be you're going to be involved in an ongoing process out there.
Most likely. Unless I
Sounds
get booed
good.
off stage, they stay hidden for a while.
How many weeks of rehearsal do you have usually?
Usually, each play gets about 10. We had 7.
Wow.
But then we had the hurricane delay, and so we've got 2
10
more.
is a long.
two
I mean,
back.
that
Is
seems
it?
like a long. Oh yeah.
Well,
Usually 6 to 8.
being community theater, I mean, we do have attendance issues sometimes. People got kids to feed,
Yeah.
other extracurricular events.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice because it gives you an opportunity to really learn your lines and then the blocking and everything. However, it takes a lot of your time when you stretch it 10 weeks too. That people, you're going to find that, well, I can't come this week or that night. And
Well, it's 2 nights a week.
Well, I mean, every
Yeah.
director sets their rehearsal schedule. We landed on a later schedule, like 7 to
all
9
right, so that's
p.m.
20 nights. So I guess if you did 3/8, that's 24. So 7 weeks would be 21. So I guess it's around the same.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
only
if you
did
have
2 hours.
I'm just saying, if you have 3 nights a week, some of them had 3 and then 4 as it gets closer. So.
Yeah, and we chose to do 2 hours a night because we could get it done in that amount of time for short plays.
Yeah, and
Thought it easier.
some people worked all day or went to school all day, and that's about all you can, you should expect to get out of them. Good.
Heck,
There are several students in this play.
yeah, heck,
Right.
2 plays ago we had 3 nights a week, 3.5 hours each. That was fun.
That's once again you're dealing with kids and their parents and getting them there, and sometimes the ride isn't there or something because if they're not old enough to drive, that's a whole new deal. But I mean, you work it out, as I say, and it always works. The show must go on,
And
it
and
does.
everybody believes that because everybody steps up when they need to.
Yeah, and that is, again, as I'm saying to folks that are listening, that do yourself a favor. Either get involved or just go out and see it. Anything that's showing in this city, you're going to be stunned if you haven't been any part of it. You're going to be stunned, absolutely, how much talent there is right here, live in front of your eyes. And it's don't let another week go by without doing these swell things. That's all I say.
Like you said, pick up, connect, or go.
Do.
Do
Do.
go to do
Do.
and
I'm
pick
sorry.
up, connect.
I read it every week. I call it the wrong name.
It's a 2-letter word. We're getting up to those in a minute. Okay, it was just about a couple minutes left. I'd like to thank you two for coming. You've been terrific, very interesting. I hope the people listening take our advice because I'm not the type to nag, as I said before.
But if you
But
did,
I will. I will make a point when it's a good point, and I'll stand behind it. It is just a good point. This is a little example we've given you tonight of what's available and what's coming up shortly next weekend, and try to get to it. No, I'm just saying it's coming up next weekend, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. Okay. Just down the road, quick. We got another minute or two. What's the next project? Real quick, like 30 seconds.
auditions for Little Women are 6 p.m. Tuesday night at the RIchmond Hill Public Library, and 'Twas the Night Before Christmas's performances are November 10th and 11th.
Great. And Tom, and you're going to be involved in that too, correct?
They're begging me to audition for Little Women.
Oh, really? Good.
But
So
you're
I'll
still
be an actor in that one, and I'm not involved in.
Yeah, but they have some
Night Before
adult
Christmas.
males in that.
I'm not involved in Night Before Christmas. Neither of us are because they're already in rehearsals and all that. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're wrapping up ours as they're in the middle of theirs. So
We've been hard at work for this Friday and Saturday's performance.
yes.
And I'm sure it'll show. Okay, I'll give the station ID one more time, and then we'll be ready to go. This is WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul, and you've been listening to Savannah.